Warning, warning, you have received again. This video contains at least one violent first audio and technical difficulties, and you have no choice but to watch the video. Trust me. Just like happened on episode 2 about McDonald's and Amazon on episode 4. Here's the video which has happened that we are receiving.
Finding that McDonald's has not proved genuine use of any trademarks, canceling McDonald's own trademark section has prevented certain MC-related trademarks within the European Union. Satellites planned for the full constellation in order to provide internet to tens of millions of people who lack basic access to broadband internet.
Amazon has not announced if they intend to sell broadband service directly to consumers, but they will offer broadband service through partnerships with other companies. Amazon allows users to submit reviews for the upgrade of each sales rank calculation algorithm.
Some companies have analyzed Amazon sales data to generate sales estimates based on the ASR of Amazon states.
The same destination, but decided against it on few customers, might reduce purchases.
Since 2019, the company has instead offered customer an Amazon Pay option where all orders are delivered on the same day, emphasizing customer convenience. And occasionally offers Prime customers credits in return for selecting slower and less expensive shipping options. Amazon was sourcing and selling items without properly determining if they are genuine.
Local Star LLC settled with Apple for an undisclosed amount on April 27, 2017.
The handheld scanners give real-time information to the employee on how quickly or slowly they are working. The scanners also serve to allow team leads and area managers to track the specific locations of employees and how much idle time they gain when not working. Where workers at its distribution centers.
The third-party security company involved was solicited by Amazon as a business contact shortly after that report.
Anyways, let's get on the video right now.
Hello, and welcome to Tom and Bender's Wikipedia News Edition. On 6th episode is Chrome, or should I say Google Chrome. Google Chrome is a cross-platform web browser developed by Google. Homework.
It was first released in 2008 for Microsoft Windows and was later ported to Linux, Windows, iOS, and Android.
Still waiting.
The browser is also the main component of Chrome OS, where it serves as the platform for web apps. Most of Chrome's source code comes from Google's open source Chromium project, but Chrome is licensed as proprietary freeware.
WebKit was the original rendering engine, but Google eventually forked it to create the Blink engine. All Chrome variants except iOS now use
WebKit
Blink.
has some kind of sick pleasure in this.
As of April 2020, StatCounter estimates that Chrome has a 68% worldwide browser market share after peaking at 72.36% on traditional PCs and 64% across all platforms.
Because of this success, Google has expanded the Chrome brand name to other products: Chrome OS, Chromecast, Chromebook, Chromebox, and Chromebus.
Google CEO Eric Schmidt opposed the development of an independent web browser for 6 years.
Whoa!
He stated that, at the time, Google was a small company and he did not want to go through bruising browser wars.
After co-founders Sergey Brin and Larry Page hired several Mozilla Firefox developers and built a demonstration of Chrome, Schmidt said that it was so good that it essentially forced me to change my mind. In September 2004, rumors of Google building a web browser first appeared.
Online journals and U.S. newspapers stated at the time that Google was hiring former Microsoft web developers among others.
Get up. Get up.
It also came shortly after the final 1.0 release of Mozilla Firefox, which was surging in popularity and taking market share from Internet Explorer, which was suffering from major security problems.
development of the browser was led by Sundar Pichai.
William, get up! Get up!
The release announcement was originally scheduled for September 3, 2008, and a comment by Scott McCloud was to be sent to journalists and bloggers explaining the features within the new browser.
Copies intended for Europe were shipped early, and German blogger Philip Lemson of Google Bloggoscope made a scanned copy of the 38-page comic available on his website after receiving it on September 1, 2008.
Google subsequently made the comic available on Google Books and mentioned it on their official blog along with an explanation for the early release.
The product was named Chrome as an initial development reject code name because it is associated with fast cars and speed.
Google kept the development project name as the final release name, as a cheeky or ironic moniker, as one of the main aims was to minimize the user interface Chrome. The browser was first publicly released on September 2, 2008 for Windows XP and later with 43 supported languages, officially in beta version and as a stable public release on December 11, 2008.
On the same day, a CNET news item drew attention to a passage in the Terms of Service statement for the initial beta release, which seemed to grant a Google license to all content transferred via the Chrome browser.
This passage was inherited from the general Google Terms of Service.
Google responded to this criticism immediately by stating that the language used was borrowed from other products and removed this passage from the Terms of Service.
Chrome quickly gained about 1% usage share.
After the initial surge, usage share dropped until it hit a low of 0.69% in October 2008.
Whoa!
It then started rising again and by December 2008, Chrome again passed the 1% threshold.
In early January 2009, CNET reported that Google planned to release versions of Chrome for OS X and Linux in the first half of the year.
The first official Chrome OS X and Linux developer previews were announced on June 4, 2009, with a blog post saying they were missing many features and were intended for early feedback rather than general use.
In December 2009, Google released beta versions of Chrome for OS X and Linux.
Google Chrome 5.0, announced on May 25, 2010, was the first stable release to support all three platforms. Chrome was one of the 12 browsers offered on Browser Choice U to European Economic Area users of Microsoft Windows in 2010. Chrome was assembled from 25 different code libraries from Google and third parties such as Mozilla's Netscape Portable Runtime, Network Security Services, and the API, dropped as of version 45. Skia Graphics Engine, Splite, and a number of other open source projects.
JavaScript virtual machine was considered sufficiently important project to be split off, as was Adobe/Mozilla's Xamarin, handled by a separate team in Denmark coordinated by Lars Bakken.
According to Google, existing implementations were designed for small programs where the performance and interactivity of the system weren't that important, but web applications such as mail are using the web browser to the fullest when it comes to the OM manipulations of JavaScript, and therefore would significantly benefit from a JavaScript engine that could work faster. Chrome initially used a WebKit rendering engine to display web pages.
In 2013, they forked the WebCore component to create their own layout engine, Blink.
Based on WebKit, Blink only uses WebKit's WebCore components while substituting other components, such as its own multi-process architecture, in place of WebKit's native implementation.
Chrome is internally tested with unit testing, automated testing of scripted user actions, fuzz testing, as well as WebKit's layout tests, 99% of which Chrome is claimed to have passed, and against commonly accessed websites inside the Google index within 20 to 30 minutes.
Google created Gears for Chrome, which added features for web developers typically relating to the building of web applications, including offline support.
Google phased out Gears as the same functionality became available in the HTML5 standards.
On January 11, 2011, the Chrome product manager, Mike Jazzieri, announced that Chrome would remove H.264 video codec support for its HTML5 player, citing the desire to bring Google Chrome more in line with the currently available open codecs available in the Chromium project, which Chrome is based on.
Despite this, on November 6, 2012, Google released a version of Chrome on Windows which added hardware accelerated H.264 video decoding.
In October 2015, Cisco announced that it was open sourcing its H.264 codecs and would cover all fees required. On February 7, 2012, Google launched Google Chrome Beta for Android 4.0 devices.
On many new devices, with Android 4.1 and later pre-installed, Chrome is the default browser.
In May 2017, Google announced a version of Chrome for augmented reality and virtual reality devices. Google Chrome features a minimalistic user interface, with its user interface principles later being implemented into other browsers.
For example, the merging of the address bar and search bar into the Omnibox.
Chrome also has a reputation for strong browser performance. Chrome allows users to synchronize their bookmarks, history, and settings across all devices, with a browser installed by sending and receiving data through a chosen Google account, which in turn updates all signed-in instances of Chrome.
This can be authenticated either through Google credentials or Sync Passphrase.
The first release of Google Chrome passed both the ACID 1 and ACID 2 tests.
Beginning with version 4.0, Chrome has passed all aspects of the ACID 3 test.
As of May 2011, Chrome has very good support for JavaScript/ECMAScript according to ECMA International's ECMAScript Standards Conformance Test 262, version ES 5.1 May 18, 2012.
This test report says the final score the number of tests a browser failed, hence lower scores are better.
In this test, Chrome version 37 scored 10 failed/11,578 passed.
For comparison, Firefox 19 scored 193, failed /11,752. Passed on Internet Explorer 9, has a score of 600 plus failed. While Internet Explorer 10 has a score of 7 failed.
In 2011, on the official CSS 2.1 test suite by standardization organization W3C WebKit, the Chrome rendering engine passes 89.75%, 89.38% out of 99.59% CSS 2.1 tests. On the HTML5 web standards test, Chrome 41 scored 518 out of 555 points, placing it ahead of the 5 most popular desktop browsers.
Chrome 41 on Android scored 510 out of 555 points.
Chrome 44 scored 526, only 29 points less than the maximum score. Chrome periodically retrieves updates of 2 blacklists, one for phishing and one for malware, and warns users when they attempt to visit a site flagged as potentially harmful.
This service is also made available for use by others via a free public API called Google Safe Browsing API.
Chrome uses a process allocation model to sandbox tabs.
Using the principle of least privilege, each tab process cannot interact with critical memory functions, for example, OS memory, user files, or other tab processes similar to Microsoft's protected mode used by Internet Explorer 9 or greater.
The sandbox team is said to have taken this existing process boundary and made it into a jail.
This enforces a computer security model whereby there are 2 levels of multi-level security, user and sandbox, and the sandbox can only respond to communication requests initiated by the user.
On Linux, sandboxing uses the second mode. In January 2015, Terrenfreak reported that using Chrome when connected to the internet using a VPN can be a serious security issue due to the browser's support for WebRTC. On September 9, 2016, it was reported that starting with Chrome 56, users will be warned when they visit insecure HTTP websites to encourage more sites to make the transition to HTTPS. On December 4, 2018, Google announced its Chrome 71 release with new security features, including a built-in ad featuring system.
In addition, Google also announced its plan to crack down websites that make people involuntarily subscribe to mobile subscription plans.
Since 2008, Chrome has been faulted for not including a master password to prevent casual access to a user's passwords.
Chrome developers have indicated that a master password does not provide real security against determined hackers and have refused to implement one.
Bugs filed on this issue have been marked "One Fix."
As of February 2014, Google Chrome asks the user to enter the Windows account password before showing saved passwords.
On Linux, Google Chrome/Chromium can store passwords in 3 ways. Google Chrome/Chromium chooses which store to use automatically based on the desktop environment in use. Passwords stored in GNOME hearing or wallet are encrypted on disk, and access to them is controlled by dedicated daemon software.
Passwords stored in plain text are not encrypted.
Because of this, when either GNOME hearing or wallet is in use, any unencrypted passwords that have been stored previously are automatically moved into the encrypted store. Support for using GNOME hearing and wallet was added in version 6, but using these when available was not made the default mode until version 12. Although Google Chrome/Chromium chooses which store to use automatically, the store to use can also be specified with a command line argument. As of version 45, the Google Chrome Password Manager is no longer integrated with Keychain, since the interoperability goal is no longer possible. No security vulnerabilities in Chrome were exploited in the 3 years of PWN2 owned from 2009 to 2011. At PWN2 owned 2012, Chrome was defeated by a French team who used zero-day exploits in the version of Flash, shipped with Chrome to take complete control of a fully patched 64-bit Windows 7 PC using a booby-trapped website that overcame Chrome's sandbox. Chrome was compromised twice at the 2012 chance it was PM.
Google's official response to the exploits was delivered by Jason Kersey, who congratulated the researchers, noting, "We also believe that both submissions are works of art and deserve wider sharing and recognition."
Fixes for these vulnerabilities were deployed within 10 hours of the submission. A significant number of security vulnerabilities in Chrome occur in the Adobe Flash Player.
For example, the 2016 PWN2 owned successful attack on Chrome relied on 4 security vulnerabilities.
2 of the vulnerabilities were in Flash, 1 was in Chrome, and 1 was in the Windows kernel.
In 2016, Google announced that it was planning to phase out Flash Player in Chrome, starting in version 53.
The first phase of the plan is to disable Flash, forats and background analytics, with the ultimate goal of disabling it completely by the end of the year, except on specific sites that Google has deemed to be broken without it.
Flash would then be re-enabled with the exclusion of ads and background analytics on a site-by-site basis.
Leaked documents, published by WikiLeaks, caught in Vault 7 and dated from 2015 to 2016, detail the capabilities of the CIA, such as the ability to compromise web browsers, including Google Chrome. Google introduced download scanning protection in Chrome 17.
In February 2018, Google introduced an ad blocking feature based on recommendations from the Interactive Advertising Bureau.
Sites that employ invasive ads are given a 30-day warning, after which their ads will be blocked.
Consumer Reports recommended users install dedicated ad blocking tools instead, which offer increased security against malware and tracking.
The private browsing feature, called incognito mode, prevents the browser from permanently storing any history information, cookies, site data, or form inputs.
Downloaded files and bookmarks will be stored.
In addition, user activity is not hidden from visited websites or the internet service provider. Incognito mode is similar to the private browsing feature in other web browsers.
It does not prevent saving in all windows. You can switch between an incognito window and any regular windows you have open.
You only be in incognito mode when you're using the incognito window. In June 2015, the Debian developer community discovered that Chromium 43 and Chrome 43 were programmed to download the awkward shared module, which could enable the OK Google voice recognition extension, although by default it was off.
This raised privacy concerns in the media.
The module was removed in Chrome 45, which was released on September 1, 2015, and was only present in Chrome 43 and 44. Chrome sends details about its users and their activities to Google through both optional and non-optional user tracking mechanisms. Some of the tracking mechanisms can be optionally enabled and disabled through the installation interface and through the browser's options dialog.
Unofficial builds, such as Surware Iron, seek to remove these features from the browser altogether.
The RLG feature is not included in the Chromium browser either. In March 2010, Google devised a new method to collect installation statistics. The unique ID token included with Chrome is now used for only the first connection that Google Update makes to its server. The optional suggestion service included in Google Chrome has been criticized because it provides the information typed into the Omnibox to the search provider before the user even hits return.
This allows the search engine to provide URL suggestions, but also provides them with web use information tied to an IP address.
The optional feature to use a web service to help resolve spelling errors has privacy implications. In February 2012, Google announced that Chrome would implement the Do Not Track (DNT) standard to inform websites the users desire not to be tracked.
The protocol was implemented in version 23.
In line with the W3's draft standard for DNT, it is turned off by default in Chrome. The JavaScript virtual machine used by Chrome, the V8 JavaScript engine, has features such as dynamic code generation, hidden class transitions, and precise garbage collection. In 2008, several websites performed benchmark tests using the SunSpider JavaScript benchmark tool as well as Google's own set of computationally intense benchmarks, which include ray tracing and constraint solving.
They unanimously reported that Chrome performed much faster than all competitors against which it had been tested, including Safari for Windows, Firefox 3.0, Internet Explorer 7, Opera, and Internet Explorer 8.
However, on October 11, 2010, independent tests of JavaScript performance, Chrome has been scoring just behind Opera's Presto engine since it was updated in version 10.5. On September 3, 2008, Mozilla responded by stating that their own Trasamonkey JavaScript engine, then in beta, was faster than Chrome's V8 engine in some tests.
John Rizig, Mozilla's JavaScript evangelist, further commented on the performance of different browsers on Google's own suite, commenting on Chrome's decimating of the other browsers, but he questioned whether Google's suite was representative of real programs.
He stated that Firefox 3.0 performed poorly on recursion-intensive benchmarks, such as those of Google, because the Mozilla team had not implemented recursion tracing yet. 2 weeks after Chrome's launch in 2008, the WebKit team announced a new JavaScript engine, Squirrelfish Extreme, citing a 36% speed improvement over Chrome's V8 engine. Like most major web browsers, Chrome uses DNS prefetching to speed up website lookups, as do other browsers like Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, called DNS pre-resolution, and an Opera as a user script, not built in. Chrome formerly used their now deprecated SPDY protocol instead of only HTTP when communicating with servers that support it, such as Google Services, Facebook, Twitter.
SPDY support was removed in Chrome version 51.
This was due to SPDY being replaced by HTTP/2, a standard that was based upon it. In November 2019, Google said it was working on several speed matching systems that let visitors know why a page is taking time to show up.
The variations include simple text warnings and more subtle signs that indicate a site is slow.
No date has been given for when the badging system will be included with a Chrome browser. A multi-process architecture is implemented in Chrome where, by default, a separate process is allocated to each site instance inclusion.
This procedure is termed process isolation, and it prevents tasks from interfering with each other, raising security and stability.
An attacker successfully gaining access to one application gains access to no others, and failure in one instance results in a sad task. Screen of death, similar to the well-known sad Mac, but only one tab crashes instead of the whole application.
This strategy exacts a fixed per process cost up front, but results in less memory bloat over time as fragmentation is confined to each instance and no longer needs further memory allocations.
This architecture was adopted in Safari and Firefox. Chrome includes a process management utility called Task Manager, which lets users see what sites and inclusions are using the most memory, downloading the most bytes, and overusing the CPU, and provides the ability to terminate them.
Chrome version 23 ensures its users an improved battery life for the systems supporting Chrome's GPU accelerated video decoding.
By default, the main user interface includes back, forward, refresh/cancel, and menu buttons.
A home button is not shown by default, but can be added through the settings page to take the user to the new tab page or custom home page.
Tabs are the main component of Chrome's user interface and have been moved to the top of the window rather than below the controls.
This subtle change contrasts with many existing tabbed browsers which are based on Windows and contain tabs.
Tabs, with their state, can be transferred seamlessly between window containers by dragging.
Each tab has its own set of controls, including the Omnibox.
The Omnibox is a URL box that combines the functions of both the address bar and search box.
If a user enters the URL of a site previously searched from, Chrome allows pressing tab to search the site again directly from the Omnibox.
When a user starts typing in the Omnibox, Chrome provides suggestions for previously visited sites based on the URL or in-page text. Popular websites, not necessarily visited before, powered by Google Instant and popular searches.
Although Instant can be turned off, suggestions based on previously visited sites cannot be turned off.
Chrome will also autocomplete the URLs of sites visited often.
Whoa!
If a user types keywords into the Omnibox that don't match any previously visited websites and presses enter, Chrome will conduct the search using the default search engine.
One of Chrome's differentiating features is the new tab page, which can replace the browser home page and is displayed when a new tab is created.
Originally, this showed thumbnails of the 9 most visited websites, along with frequent searches, recent bookmarks, and recently closed tabs, similar to Internet Explorer and Firefox, with Google Toolbar or Opera Speed Dial.
In Google Chrome 2.0, the new tab page was updated to allow users to hide thumbnails they did not want to appear. Starting in version 3.0, the new tab page was revamped to display thumbnails of the 8 most visited websites.
The thumbnails could be rearranged, pinned, and removed.
Alternatively, a list of text links could be displayed instead of thumbnails.
It also features a recently closed bar that shows recently closed tabs and a tips section that displays hints and tricks for using the browser.
Chrome includes a bookmarks submenu that lists the user's bookmarks, provides easy access to Chrome's bookmark manager, and allows the user to toggle a bookmark bar on or off. For web developers, Chrome features an element inspector, Inspect Element, similar to the Firebug browser extension, which allows users to look into the DOM and see what makes up the web page. Chrome has special URLs that load application-specific pages instead of websites or files on disk.
Whoa!
Chrome also has a built-in ability to enable experimental features.
Originally called About, the address was changed to About flags to make it less obvious to casual users. In March 2011, Google introduced a new, simplified logo to replace the previous 3D logo that had been used since the project's inception.
Google designer Steve Rura explained the company reasoning for the change, since Chrome is all about making your web experience as easy and clutter-free as possible. We refreshed the Chrome icon to better represent these sentiments.
A simpler icon embodies the Chrome spirit to make the web quicker, lighter, and easier for all. In September 2013, Google started making Chrome apps for your desktop.
Whoa!
This meant offline access, desktop shortcuts, and less dependence on Chrome apps launch in a window separate from Chrome and look more like native applications.
On January 2, 2019, Google introduced native dark theme for Chrome on Windows 10. Chrome allows users to make local desktop shortcuts that open web applications in the browser.
The browser, when opened in this way, contains none of the regular interface except for the title bar, so as not to interrupt anything the user is trying to do.
This allows web applications to run alongside local software, similar to Mozilla Prism and Fluid. This feature, according to Google, would be enhanced with a Chrome Web Store, a one-stop web-based web applications directory which opened in December 2010. Announced on December 7, 2010, the Chrome Web Store allows users to install web applications as extensions to the browser, although most of these extensions function simply as links to popular web pages and /or games. Some of the apps like Sprinter do provide extra features like offline access.
The themes and extensions have also been tightly integrated into the new store, allowing users to search the entire catalog of Chrome extras.
The Chrome Web Store was opened on February 11, 2011, with the release of Google Chrome 9.0. Google Chrome extensions are browser extensions that modify Google Chrome.
These extensions are written using web technologies like HTML, JavaScript, and CSS.
They are distributed through Chrome Web Store, initially known as the Google Chrome Extensions Gallery.
All users with a Google account are able to add extensions after developing them.
Many Chrome extensions, once installed, have access to the user's data.
There are 3 levels of permissions that an app or extension may request.
All extensions must have a clear and singular purpose. On September 9, 2009, Google enabled extensions by default on Chrome's developer channel and provided several sample extensions for testing.
In December, the Google Chrome Extensions Gallery beta began with approximately 300 extensions.
It was launched on January 25, 2010 along with Google Chrome 4.0, containing approximately 1,500 extensions. In 2014, Google started preventing some Windows users from installing extensions not hosted on the Chrome Web Store.
The following year, Google reported a 75% drop in customer support help requests for uninstalling unwanted extensions, which led them to expand this restriction to all Windows and Mac users.
Under the terms of the EU LA, Google can remove or disable any extensions from a user's installation of Chrome. Starting with Google Chrome 3.0, users can install themes to alter the appearance of the browser.
Whoa!
Many free third-party themes are provided in an online gallery accessible through a Get Themes button in Chrome's options.
Starting with Google Chrome 4.1, the application added a built-in translation bar using Google Translate.
Translation is currently available for 52 languages.
When Chrome detects a foreign language other than the user's preferred language as set during the installation time, it asks the user whether or not to translate. The first production release on December 11, 2008 marked the end of the initial beta test period and the beginning of production.
Shortly thereafter, on January 8, 2009, Google announced an updated release system with 3 channels, stable, corresponding to the traditional production, beta, and developer preview, also called the Dev channel.
Where there were before only 2 channels, beta and developer, now there were 3.
Concurrently, all developer channel users were moved to the beta channel along with a promoted developer release.
Google explained that now the developer channel builds would be less stable and polished than those from the initial Google Chrome's beta period.
Beta users could opt back to the developer channel as desired.
Each channel has its own release cycle and stability level.
The stable channel updated roughly quarterly with features and fixes that passed thorough testing in the beta channel.
Beta updated roughly monthly with stable and complete features migrated from the developer channel.
The developer channel, updated once or twice per week, and was where ideas and features were first publicly exposed and sometimes fail and can be very unstable at times.
Quoted remarks from Google's policy announcements. On July 22, 2010, Google announced it would ramp up the speed at which it releases new stable versions. The release cycles were shortened from quarterly to 6 weeks for major stable updates.
Beta channel releases now come roughly at the same rate as stable releases, though approximately 1 month in advance, while dev channel releases appear roughly once or twice weekly, allowing time for basic release critical testing.
This faster release cycle also brought a 4th channel, the Canary channel, updated daily from a build produced at 09 o'clock UTC, from the most stable of the last 40 revisions.
The name refers to the practice of using canaries in coal mines, so if a change kills Chrome Canary, it will be blocked from migrating down to the developer channel, at least until fixed in a subsequent Canary build.
Canary is the most bleeding-edge official version of Chrome and somewhat of a mix between Chrome Dev and the Chromium snapshot builds.
Canary releases run side by side with any other channel. It is not linked to the other Google Chrome installation and can therefore run different synchronization profiles, themes, and browser preferences.
This ensures that fallback functionality remains, even when some Canary update may contain release-breaking bugs.
It does not natively include the option to be the default browser, although on Windows and OS X it can be set through system preferences.
Canary was Windows only at first. An OS X version was released on May 3, 2011. The Chrome beta channel for Android was launched on January 10, 2015. Like Canary, it runs side by side with a stable channel for Android.
Chrome Dev for Android was launched on April 29, 2015.
All Chrome channels are automatically distributed according to their respective release cycles.
The mechanism differs by platform.
On Windows, it uses Google Update. An auto update can be controlled via group policy.
Whoa!
Alternatively, users may download a standalone installer of a version of Chrome that does not auto-update.
On OS X, it uses Google Update Service. An auto update can be controlled via the OS X defaults system.
On Linux, it lets the system's normal package management system supply the updates.
This auto-updating behavior is a key difference from Chromium, the non-branded open-source browser which forms the core of Google Chrome.
Because Chromium also serves as the pre-release development trunk for Chrome, its revisions are provided as source code and buildable snapshots are produced continuously with each new commit, requiring users to manage their own browser updates.
Releases are identified by a four-part version number. For example, 42.0.2311.90, Windows Stable Release April 14, 2015.
Whoa!
The components are major minor build cache.
Chromium and Chrome release schedules are linked through Chromium major version branch point dates, published annually.
The branch points precede the final Chrome developer build initial release by 4 days, nearly always, and the Chrome stable initial release by roughly 53 days.
Example, the version 42 branch point was February 20, 2015.
Developer builds stopped advancing at build 2311, with release 42.0.2311.4 on February 24, 4 days later.
The first stable release, 42.0.2311.90, was April 14, 2015, 53 days after the branch point. Chrome supports color management by using the system, provided ICC v2 and v4 support on Mac OS, and from version 22 supports ICC v2 profiles by default on other platforms. In Chrome, when not connected to the internet and an error message displaying "No Internet" is shown on the top, and 8-bit Tyrannosaurus Rex is shown, but when pressing the space bar on a keyboard, mouse clicking on it or tapping it on touch devices, the T-Rex instantly jumps once and dashes across a cactus-ridden desert, revealing it to be an Easter egg in the form of a platform game.
The game itself is an infinite runner, and there is no time limit in the game as it progresses faster and periodically tints to a black background.
A school Chromebook administrator can disable the game. The current version of Chrome runs on As of April 2016, stable 32-bit and 64-bit builds are available for Windows, with only 64-bit stable builds available for Linux and Mac OS.
64-bit Windows builds became available in the developer channel and as Canary builds on June 3, 2014, in the beta channel on July 30, 2014. And in the stable channel on August 26, 2014.
64-bit OS X builds became available as Canary builds on November 7, 2015, in the beta channel on October 9, 2014, and in the stable channel on November 18, 2014. A beta version for Android 4.0 devices was launched on February 7, 2012, available for a limited number of countries from Google Play. Notable features: synchronization with desktop Chrome to provide the same bookmarks and view the same browser tabs, page tree rendering, hardware acceleration. Many of the latest HTML5 features, almost all of the web platform's features, GPU accelerated canvas, including CSS 3D transforms, CSS animations, SVG, WebSocket, including binary messages, dedicated workers. It has overflow scroll support, strong HTML5 video support, and new capabilities such as index ed, web workers, application cache and the file apis, date and time pickers, parts of the media capture API.
Also supports mobile-oriented features such as device orientation and geolocation.
Mobile customizations, swipe gesture tab switching, link preview allow zooming in on multiple links to ensure the desired one is clicked, font size boosting to ensure readability regardless of the zoom level. Features missing in the mobile version include sandbox tabs, safe browsing, apps or extensions, Adobe Flash, now and in the future, native client. Development changes, remote debugging, part of the browser layer, has been implemented in Java, communicating with the rest of the Chromium and WebKit code through Java native bindings.
The code of Chrome for Android is a fork of the Chromium project.
It is a priority to upstream most new and modified code to Chromium and WebKit to resolve the fork. The April 17, 2012 update included availability in 31 additional languages and in all countries where Google Play is available.
A desktop version of a website can also be requested as opposed to a mobile version.
In addition, Android users can now add bookmarks to their Android home screens if they choose and decide which app should handle links opened in Chrome. On June 27, 2012, Google Chrome for Android exited data and became stable. Chrome 18.0.1026.311, released on September 26, 2012, was the first version of Chrome for Android to support mobile devices based on Intel x86. Starting from version 25, the Chrome version for Android is aligned with the desktop version, and usually new stable releases are available at the same time between the Android and the desktop version.
Google released a separate Chrome for Android beta channel on January 10, 2013, with version 25.
As of 2013, a separate beta version of Chrome is available in the Google Play Store and can run side by side with a stable release. Google Chrome is the basis of Google's Chrome OS operating system that ships on specific hardware from Google's manufacturing partners.
The user interface has a minimalist design resembling the Google Chrome browser.
Chrome OS is aimed at users who spend most of their computer time on the web. The only applications on the devices are a browser incorporating a media player and a file manager. Google announced Chrome OS on July 7, 2009. Chrome is available on Apple's mobile iOS operating system as Google Chrome for iOS.
Released in the Apple App Store on June 26, 2012, it supports the iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch, and the current version requires that the device has iOS 12.0 or greater installed.
In accordance with Apple's requirements for browsers released through their App Store, this version of Chrome uses the iOS WebKit, which is Apple's own mobile rendering engine and components, developed for their Safari browser. Therefore, it is restricted from using Google's own V8 JavaScript engine.
Chrome is the default web browser for the iOS Mail application, but it cannot be used as the device-wide default application for opening web pages because Apple has not provided iOS users with the option to change the default from Safari.
In a review by Wikipedia, Chrome was noted as having 1.5% of the iOS web browser market as of July 18, 2012.
In October 2013, Chrome had 3% of the iOS browser market.
On Linux distributions, support for 32-bit Intel processors ended in March 2016, although Chromium is still supported.
As of Chrome version 26, Linux installations of the browser may be updated only on systems that support GCC v4.6 and GTK v2.24 or later.
Thus, deprecated systems include, for example, IN6 is 2.20 and RHEL6 is 2.18. Support for Google Chrome on Windows XP and Windows Vista ended in April 2016.
The last release of Google Chrome that can be run on Windows XP and Windows Vista was version 49.0.2623.112, released on April 7, 2016. Then re-released on April 11, 2016.
Support for Google Chrome in Windows 7 will end on at least July 15, 2021. Windows 8 mode was introduced in 2012 and has since been discontinued.
It was provided to the developer channel, which enabled Windows 8 and Windows 8.1 users to run Chrome with a full-screen, tablet-optimized interface with access to snapping, sharing, and search functionalities.
In October 2015, Windows 8 mode on the developer channel changed to use a desktop environment mimicking the interface of Chrome OS with a dedicated windowing system and taskbar for web apps.
This was removed on version 49 and users that have upgraded to Windows 10 will lose this feature.
Google dropped support for Mac OS X 10.5 with the release of Chrome 22.
Whoa!
Support for 32-bit versions of Chrome ended in October 2014 with the release of Chrome 39.
Support for Mac OS X 10.6, 10.7, and 10.8 ended in April 2016 with the release of Chrome 50.
Support for OS X 10.9 ended in April 2018 with the release of Chrome 66.
Google Chrome was met with acclaim upon release.
Whoa!
In 2008, Matthew Moore of the Daily Telegraph summarized the verdict of early reviewers. Google Chrome is attractive, fast, and has some impressive new features.
Initially, Microsoft reportedly played down the threat from Chrome and predicted that most people would embrace Internet Explorer 8.
Opera Software said that Chrome will strengthen the web as the biggest application platform in the world.
But by February 25, 2010, Businessweek had reported that, for the first time in years, energy and resources are being poured into browsers, the ubiquitous programs, for accessing content on the web.
Credit for this trend of boon to consumers goes to two parties.
The first is Google, whose big plans for the Chrome browser have shaken Microsoft out of its competitive torpor and forced the software giant to pay fresh attention to its own browser, Internet Explorer.
Microsoft all but ceased efforts to enhance IE after it triumphed in the last browser war, sending Netscape to its doom.
Now it's back in gear.
Mozilla said that Chrome's introduction into the web browser market comes as no real surprise that Chrome is not aimed at competing with Firefox. And furthermore, that it would not affect Google's revenue relationship with Mozilla.
Chrome's design bridges the gap between desktop and so-called cloud computing. At the touch of a button, Chrome lets you make a desktop, start menu, or quick launch shortcut to any web page or web application, blurring the line between what's online and what's inside your PC. For example, I created a desktop shortcut for Google Maps. When you create a shortcut for a web application, Chrome strips away all of the toolbars and tabs from the window, leaving you with something that feels much more like a desktop application than like a web application or page. PC World.
With its dominance in the web browser market, Google has been accused of using Chrome and link development to push new web standards that are proposed in-house by Google and subsequently implemented by its services first and foremost.
These have led to performance disadvantages and compatibility issues with competing browsers, and in some cases, developers intentionally refusing to test their websites on any other browser than Chrome.
Tom Warren of The Verge went as far as comparing Chrome to Internet Explorer 6, the default browser of Windows XP that was often targeted by competitors due to its similar ubiquity in the early 2000s. In 2019, Google similarly faced criticism over planned changes to its extension API for Chrome, dubbed Manifest v3, which would inhibit the effectiveness of certain forms of ad blocking software by preventing the use of the web request API to block and modify network connections.
Google intends extensions to transition to another API known as Declarative Web Request, which allows the extension to set up pre-configured rules that are processed by the browser itself rather than through the extension.
However, concerns over how well the API would perform, in combination with concerns over a cap on the number of entries that may be blacklisted, led to criticism that these changes were designed to inhibit ad blocking, citing Google's vested interest in the online advertising industry.
Google cited performance issues associated with web request, as it requires all network traffic to go through the extension before the page is loaded, as well as its use in malicious extensions as justification for these changes.
In June 2019, it announced that it would increase the aforementioned cap from 30,000 to 150,000 entries to help quell concerns. Chrome overtook Firefox in November 2011 in worldwide usage.
As of June 2016, according to StatCounter, Google Chrome had 62% worldwide desktop usage share, making it the most widely used web browser, while Firefox had 16% and Internet Explorer had 12%.
Along with Safari and Mozilla Firefox, Chrome receives a weekend bump, which boosts its market share by as much as 3 percentage points on weekends at the expense of Internet Explorer. It was reported by StatCounter, a web analytics company, that for the single day of Sunday, March 18, 2012, Chrome was the most used web browser in the world for the first time.
Chrome secured 32.7% of the global web browsing on that day, while Internet Explorer followed closely behind with 32.5%.
From May 14 to 21, 2012, Google Chrome was for the first time responsible for more internet traffic than Microsoft's Internet Explorer, which won and held its spot as the most used web browser in the world.
Whoa!
According to StatCounter, 31.88% of web traffic was generated by Chrome for a sustained period of 1 week and 31.47% by Internet Explorer.
Though Chrome had topped Internet Explorer for a single day's usage in the past, this was the first time it had led for 1 full week. At the 2012 Google I/O Developers Conference, Google claimed that there were 10 million active users of Chrome, almost double the number in 2011, which was stated as 160 million active users. In June 2013, according to StatCounter, Chrome overtook Internet Explorer for the first time in the US. In August 2015, Chrome was used by 43% of Internet users worldwide.
This study was done by Statista, which also noted that in North America, 36% of people use Chrome, the lowest in the world.
February 2018, Chrome is the most used browser in virtually all countries, with most exceptions in Africa. In December 2010, Google announced that to make it easier for businesses to use Chrome, they would provide an official Chrome MSI package.
Whoa!
For business use, it is helpful to have full-fledged MSI packages that can be customized via transform files, MST, but the MSI provided with Chrome is only a very limited MSI wrapper fitted around the normal installer, and many businesses find that this arrangement does not meet their needs.
The normal, downloaded Chrome installer puts the browser in the user's local app data directory and provides invisible background updates, but the MSI package will allow installation at the system level, providing system administrators control over the update process. This was formerly possible only when Chrome was installed using Google Pack.
Google also created group policy objects to fine-tune the behavior of Chrome in the business environment, for example, by setting automatic updates at interval, disabling auto updates, and configuring a home page.
Until version 24, the software is known not to be ready for enterprise deployments with roaming profiles or terminal server/Citrix environments. In September 2008, Google released a large portion of Chrome's source code as an open source project called Chromium.
This move enabled third-party developers to study the underlying source code and to help port the browser to the Mac OS and Linux operating systems.
The Google authored portion of Chromium is released under the permissive BSD license.
Other portions of the source code are subject to a variety of open source licenses.
Chromium is similar to Chrome, but lacks built-in automatic updates and a built-in Flash player, as well as Google branding and has a blue, colored logo instead of the multicolored Google logo.
Chromium does not implement user RLZ tracking.
Initially, the Google Chrome PDF viewer, PDFEM, was excluded from Chromium, but was later made open source in May 2014.
PDFEM can be used to fill PDF forms.
It is possible to develop applications, extensions, and themes for Chrome.
They are zipped in a CRX file and contain a manifest file that specifies basic information such as version, name, description, privileges, etc. And other files for the user interface, icons, pop-ups, etc.
Google has an official developer's guide.
Whoa!
Chrome has its own web store where users and developers can upload and download these applications and extensions. That's all today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe this channel for more videos as it happens, and see you in episode 7. So